Welcome back, everybody. Thanks for joining me once again on my YouTube channel. It's been a little while since I uploaded. Apologies for that. Life can get kind of busy and it's been definitely a very hectic few months. But now that things have settled a little bit, I figure it's time to get back into the video game because this is the most powerful medium to connect with people worldwide. It's still a brand new thing, video, the internet, DSLR cameras. We all get used to them so quickly, but really this stuff has only been around for a blink of an eye. So I definitely want to participate in this global conversation that's going on. So for today's topic, I wanted to talk about how I became a digital nomad, as well as what is a digital nomad and how to become one if you chose to pursue that yourself. Rewind a few years ago, I was living in Sydney. I had just moved into a beautiful apartment in Darling Point, which is one of Australia's most expensive neighbourhoods. I lived in a beautiful big apartment, shared with a couple other people. Every day I would stay at home. I would be doing graphic design for clients. Rochelle was also at home with me because she was doing all of her influencer, fashion blogging kind of stuff. We'd started an online business called IMU Collective where we were selling metallic temporary tattoos. It was our first online business. We figured we would try to create something that was utilizing our skill sets. In this case, graphic design, photography, my partner being a model, her knowing influencers. It all just kind of came together with this metallic temporary tattoo trend. We'd be getting shipments from China, and I'd be running down to the post office every single day to send off 50 envelopes all over the world. It was definitely an exciting time. However, it wasn't that inspiring in some sense. Now, I put it down to the fact that when you work from home, you're always sitting at home, right? So unless you're really making a big effort to get out there and have a social life and yada, 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 it can get a little bit repetitive, I guess. So there came a time when the online business that we had started, IMU, was doing quite well, and it was really early days still, and the sales were kind of coming in every day. So there came a time when we were sitting at home and we were doing the same thing day in, day out, and we realized that we could probably keep working on this business whilst traveling. And it probably wouldn't cost us any more than what we were paying for our living expenses in Australia. So we kind of thought about it and we tried to work out logistics. We ended up finding a third-party warehousing company that ended up storing our tattoos and then sending them out all over the world for us from multiple warehouses. So that was a big challenge. That was the first time I had to deal with like supply chain management, third-party logistics kind of stuff. Not exactly my forte. But so we figured out how to keep the business running on autopilot in a sense, in terms of the logistical side. And then we packed up all of our stuff and basically took off. And we just started traveling. And that was 2.5 years ago. And we've been to, many places since. Now, we had to obviously sell a lot of stuff. I threw out most of my things. I stored a few things at my parents' place, and then I just sold the rest of the stuff on Facebook to whoever wanted it. When you have to fit your entire life into a suitcase, you do have to become a little bit of a minimalist. But me and Rochelle, we both accepted the challenge because, what is life if not a big adventure? So you got to just go for it sometimes. The resources that we utilize to keep this lifestyle going are things like Airbnb have completely changed the game. I mean, I'm currently sitting in an Airbnb right now in Athens. It's a beautiful apartment. It's probably about 100 square meters in size. It's got a huge courtyard out here. I can watch the sunset every day over Athens. And I'm paying, I believe, about 35 euros a day. Now, on top of that, I don't have any more car repayments. I don't pay for internet. I don't pay for utilities or anything like that. So in some sense, if you search around, it can actually become cheaper than your lifestyle in certain countries. Now, obviously, the big factor in how to achieve this lifestyle is that you have to make money somehow, and you have to make money through the internet. Whatever business you want to operate, it has to be something that can be done remotely. Now, there are many options. If you're really knowledgeable in some field, you could become a consultant and work with people via Skype. You can also be selling products. You can be drop shipping products if you don't want to create your own, which means buying it from one source and then reselling it somewhere and then making a difference. For me, my preferred medium these days, because I've gone through the struggles of a physical business with shipping and logistics and storing and warehousing and customer complaints and everything else. So my preferred method of doing business, of providing value these days, is anything in digital form, really. So after we operated IMU, the temporary tattoo and jewelry company, for a little while, after a couple of years, we sort of asked ourselves, how much value are we actually providing with this business? If successful businesses are ones that exchange value between them and customers over and over and over, what is the worth of the value that we were providing? And for me, it was a bit of a realization that it probably wasn't very valuable at all, I think I did a very good job at drawing these designs that we turned into tattoos, and it was a lot of fun because it really spoke to my skill set. I thoroughly enjoyed it, but the difference I was making in people's lives by just having them put a shiny sticker on their skin was absolutely zero, which is probably also why the business didn't really make much money. There is a correlation between the value you provide to society, humanity, your customers, whatever, and how much you end up getting paid. If you can teach someone how to meet the partner of their dreams or lose a few kilos and feel better about themselves, you've got a really good business right there, because that's a lot of value. People place a lot of value on those things. Metallic temporary tattoos, not so much. So then we asked ourselves, well, what is the biggest value that we could provide? And for me, it only took me 0.1 seconds to realize that it's teaching people meditation. Meditation at this point had been this practice that me and Rochelle had already been doing for about 3-4 years. We did it every single day. It's been a complete life changer. I actually just meditated before I started recording this video, which is why I feel very calm and very on point right now, I guess. I have zero anxiety about talking to a camera that's going to then put a video online, which millions of people might see. It just doesn't faze me at all right now, because inside I've reset myself back to a really calm and centered place, which is where I return to once a day. Now, meditation is hands down the biggest life changer that I've ever come across. It's such a game changer that it's hard to express, because I don't want to do it an injustice by just saying some words like awesome, which don't really mean much anymore in today's society. But it is literally the single greatest thing that I had ever learned. And I realized that anyone can learn this. And I also feel like a lot of people could teach this, because it's not really that complex. The biggest challenge about meditation is really just getting people to be curious about it, and then explaining it in a way where you can understand it. That's really the task these days. We don't need any more new meditation techniques. We just need someone to come along and explain it to people so that they understand it. And then we kind of realized, well, we could do that, we could do that. We could provide that value. We could bring people to meditation, explain it to them, have them walk away with a lifelong skill where they can reduce stress and anxiety and depression and overthinking and just live a more awesome life without having to do anything else other than close their eyes for a few minutes a day. And that's when I realized, well, that's a huge value, that's massive value. I couldn't think of anything greater that I could pass on. So then we started the journey of, okay, well, let's build an online video course so that we can communicate this through the internet, because obviously we didn't want to give up our nomadic lifestyle, but also we want to build this in such a way that 1 million people can learn this. And if I have to teach people personally and be somewhere in a location, then that might limit that somewhat, unless we're doing meditations in a stadium or something, which might be a little bit non-zen. So that's not going to work. But yeah, so you just have to figure out what value can you provide If it's value that you can provide through the internet somehow, then you definitely qualify for, you know, if you want to take off and become a digital nomad and just travel and make money online. And so that's really the biggest criteria, you know, that you can provide this through the internet. Now, the pros and cons of being a digital nomad, there are plenty of pros. I mean, I feel like I've seen so much in the last 2.5 years. I've been to so many places. We've made a lot of friends in different cities all over the world, which is amazing. And I look forward to keep meeting more and more people so that, you know, when I'm grey and old, I can just jump on a plane and go to any country and there's a couple of best friends there, which sounds like an amazing reality. You definitely grow from seeing so much contrast and meeting so many people. You know, there's a famous quote that says, you know, the amazing thing about travel is that you can see that there are other cultures that do everything different and yet they operate just fine. So it kind of makes you a little bit humble to your way of living and thinking that you must be right and your way of living is right, when there are so many different ways that people construct their reality that work just fine for them. Now, cons, it's harder to get a routine when you are moving frequently. It's hard to get into a routine when you move frequently. That is one of the biggest downfalls. But that said, it just creates a bigger challenge in developing the self-discipline to, you know, make yourself do a few key things every day on command, whether you feel like it or not. That's the great challenge. It's one that I'm still working on, but I think I've got a plan that I figured out the other day, so it's all good. I do, in a sense, miss a feeling of home a little bit. I guess having somewhere that is predictable in a sense, and you have friends and they come over and whatever. I do miss something about that, but I know that I'll be able to have that again soon in the future. So it's in the meantime, I can just fully immerse myself in this experience and not get too homesick or anything, because, you know, to be honest, these days I don't really know where home is anymore. Like, I'll have to create my next home because there is no place that I identify specifically as home. I mean, I spent half my life living in Germany where I grew up. I spent the other half of my life in Australia, and now I've spent a few years just traveling around. So in some essence, this whole planet feels like home a bit now, because with things like Airbnb, you really can get that experience. It's not like I'm staying in hotels everywhere and it feels super artificial. Like, wherever I go, I do get a home. It's just about whether I can sink into that feeling while I'm there. That's the challenge. It's also why we've now slowed down our rate of moving from one place to another. We're going to try to stay for 2 to 3 months per place, so only move like 4, 5, 6 times a year at the most. That'll just allow us to not take such a toll on our output, like work-wise, because, you know, there is always a week or two where you need to calibrate, like, where am I? Where's the supermarket? And how do I get into the city? You know, what's the bloody telephone prefix? There are all these things that your mind gets occupied with when you first arrive at a new place, and that takes up additional room and capacity that you want to be using for your online business, because if that's not working, then none of this is working. Anyway, I should probably stop rambling there. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of an insight. It's definitely an unconventional lifestyle. It's when you take it one step at a time, though, it's not as daunting as it might seem, and it's definitely not something for everyone. I do want to point that out. Not all personality types are going to be able to do this, I feel, and also for some people it's just not in their cards. You know, some people really like stability, some people really want to build a life in one place, and that is the normal way to go about things. What I'm doing here is definitely a bit of a anomaly on the side here, but it's an interesting one nonetheless. So that should wrap this one up, because I don't want to make this video too long. I'm going to start uploading more videos again, I promise. If there's any questions or any feedback, or you want to say anything, write it in the comments below. I'll definitely check it and I'll get back to you guys. And yeah, thanks for your support, and I hope this was interesting. Much love, all the best.